We continue our exploration of Sharot and Sunstein's Look Again. Once, there was a little boy named Jonah. He was very smart and adorable, but he had a small physical defect that made him insecure. His right foot was missing a little toe. Jonah was afraid of being teased about this, so he had to come up with various ways to hide it. He avoided swimming classes and didn't dare to wear sandals in the summer. How could he make it seem natural? Jonah had to make up one lie after another. Oh, I have a cold today, I can't swim. My cat chewed up my sandals, so I can only wear sneakers. These little lies seemed insignificant. After all, everyone tells a little white lie now and then. But Jonah had to lie continuously, day after day. Lying became a habit for him. Sometimes, he would lie about things unrelated to his toe. Eventually, Jonah would lie about anything that could slightly improve his image. What kind of person do you think Jonah would grow up to be? Lies might give you a small advantage in the short term, but they will inevitably backfire. People will eventually realize you are untrustworthy, and you won't build long-term relationships. This is why most people don't lie often, especially not about important matters. This is also why we generally assume that others are telling the truth. This is also why some people manage to climb up, temporarily through lies. An American activist claimed to be black but had no African ancestry. An entrepreneur said his company could detect cancer through blood tests, which was untrue. Politicians fabricated their education and work histories, and scientists made up data. They were all eventually exposed. One thing these chronic liars have in common is that they started lying from a young age. Lying is a process that escalates gradually. As we mentioned before, this is similar to how neural networks are trained. Why shouldn't we commit small wrongs? Because thoughts become words, words become actions, actions become habits, habits become character, and character becomes destiny. Today, we'll discuss the dynamics of this process in more detail. fMRI scans show that when a person lies for personal gain, their amygdala becomes highly active. The amygdala is responsible for producing negative emotions. This means that lying triggers strong negative emotions. Moreover, research shows that the bigger the lie, the stronger the negative emotion. This is why we don't like to lie. Everyone prefers to be an upright person. Our behavior is most strongly constrained by emotions and morals rather than reason. Experiments have also found that if people take a drug that lowers emotional arousal, their likelihood of lying increases. But note, the brain's emotional response to lying becomes habituated over time. An experiment was designed where two people teamed up. If one lied, they would gain financially, but their partner would suffer a loss. Human nature failed the test, as some participants began to lie gradually. Initially, participants lied hesitantly, telling small lies that brought minor gains, and their amygdala showed a strong reaction. By the second lie, their emotional response weakened slightly, and they hid more money. As the experiment continued, the lies grew bigger, and the emotional response diminished, until they could hide significant amounts without batting an eye. In just a few rounds of the experiment, these individuals reached a point where they could lie without guilt. Doesn't this make it clear how good people can eventually become corrupt officials? The research team conducted several comparison experiments with the following results. If lying brought no benefits, participants did not lie. If it was a benevolent lie, benefiting others but not themselves, participants might lie, but the lies did not escalate. If the lie benefited both parties, the lies escalated, but at a slower pace. In short, people lie most readily when it benefits them personally, which can desensitize the emotional mechanisms that inhibit lying, allowing the lies to escalate. This is the scientific principle behind being blinded by greed. The escalation of lying can be observed. We know Trump is a habitual liar. During his presidential campaign, he relied on fabrications to gain attention. Many lies were exposed, but the exposure itself generated more attention, and voters seemed indifferent, leading to further escalation. After Trump became president, someone kept track of his false statements. In his first 100 days as president, Trump made an average of 5 false public statements per day. A few months later, this increased to 9 per day. By the end of his term, it reached an astounding 19 false statements per day. Here's another true story. An Australian health influencer named Belle Gibson created a health app and wrote columns on what to eat for better health. Gibson was a habitual liar. As a teenager, she claimed she almost died from heart surgery, even though she had never undergone such a procedure. That lie helped her gain attention, setting her on a path of habitual lying. Sharot and Sunstein imagine a thought experiment. Imagine you are the editor of Gibson's column. What would you do in the following scenarios? At first, Gibson sends an article claiming that eggplants have various health benefits. As a diligent editor, you search online and find no scientific evidence supporting these claims. You ask her why she wrote this without evidence, and Gibson replies that there may be evidence in the future. You think that makes sense. The article is well written and persuasive, and eggplants are healthy, so you publish it. The article is very popular, with many shares and likes. Soon after, Gibson sends another article claiming that ostrich eggs boost fertility. This claim seems dubious, but you publish it anyway. After all, ostrich eggs are harmless. The readers might just waste a bit of money. Later, Gibson writes that cancer shouldn't be treated with chemotherapy. It's painful and not very effective. Instead, she suggests a dietary regimen that she claims is more effective in treating cancer. This is already a stupid tax. Not only does diet therapy have no benefits for cancer, but rejecting chemotherapy could also mean missing valuable treatment time, directly harming readers. But would you publish this article? With previous habituation, you might. In reality, Gibson claimed she had cancer that had spread to multiple organs and that she cured it through healthy eating, exercise, and meditation. Later, it was revealed to be completely fabricated. Gibson never had cancer. And you can understand why she would say that and why you might publish it. There is a process similar to lying escalation. Taking risks. Imagine you're traveling and come across a bridge over a beautiful pond. You're tempted to jump off the bridge into the water. It's risky since the bridge is quite high, and you're a bit scared. But you think it would be cool, and you can't resist the idea, so you carefully jump. Nothing happens. So you jump again. You can imagine that, the second time you jump, you're not as scared as the first time. You keep jumping, and by the 10th jump, you might even do a backflip. What you don't know is that, the bridge is actually dangerous, and there have been several accidents before. We judge danger largely through our emotions. If you feel fear, your heart races, your legs shake. You think it's dangerous. Fear acts as a brake on your actions. If you become habituated to this emotion, you ignore the danger, though the risk itself hasn't changed. You're just not afraid anymore. In one experiment, participants played a gambling game for 20 rounds. The results of each round weren't shown immediately but after all 20 rounds. Logically, the strategy for each round should remain the same, right? The experiment found a common pattern. Participants placed small bets initially, but as the rounds progressed, the bets got larger. They didn't know if they were winning or losing, but their fear diminished. Some people develop a love for risk-taking through habit. Sharot and Sunstein give an interesting example. Former British Prime Minister David Cameron's Brexit referendum in 2016. Cameron wanted the UK to stay in the EU and didn't want Brexit. The UK government had some leeway to avoid Brexit, but Cameron chose a referendum. If the public voted to stay, Cameron's position would be stronger, and his personal reputation would improve. But why didn't he consider that the vote might be for Brexit? He was gambling. And he had become accustomed to it. Historians have noted that Cameron had always been taking risks. The 2011 intervention in Libya and the 2013 intervention in Syria were small bets. The 2014 Scottish independence referendum was a big gamble, which Cameron luckily won, earning prestige when Scotland voted to stay. This led to the 2016 Brexit referendum. But this time, the British people voted to leave the EU, ending Cameron's political career. When a child first goes gambling, a foolish father fears he'll lose money, while a wise father fears he'll win. Habituation to risk also means we're less sensitive to old risks and very sensitive to new ones. For example, a decade ago, GM foods faced strong opposition because they were a new risk. Now, many people are accustomed to them. Research has found that, in construction sites and factory workshops, most accidents don't occur at the project's start but towards the end. Over time, workers become accustomed to the risks, their fear diminishes, and they take fewer precautions. For example, in sawmills, finger-cutting accidents often happen to experienced workers rather than newcomers. As the saying goes, it's the skilled swimmers who drown. Statistics also show that 50% of serious accidents don't happen in factories but at home, where we feel safest and least afraid. Therefore, those who blush when they lie or hesitate to place bets are fortunate. They haven't been corrupted by fate. But habituation is human nature. How can we maintain that sense of innocence? The best way is to firmly abstain. Don't study gambling odds. Just don't gamble. Don't calculate the risk-reward ratio of lying. Just know that good people don't lie. This is why safety regulations must be absolute. Why must you wear a helmet at a construction site? Why must materials with carcinogens be strictly avoided? Why must you wear a helmet when riding a motorcycle? Shouldn't we consider the dose and analyze the specific situation? No, because you will become habituated. You will bargain step by step and escalate, rendering the rules meaningless. To prevent problems before they arise, enforcement must be strict. That's all for today. In the next section, we'll talk about boiling frog.
If you feel there is value in this, please like, subscribe to this channel, and leave your thoughts or suggestions in the comments section. Let's grow together and read more good books.